Aloha, my name is Matt Darnell with ComTel.Cloud. Cloud, like up in the sky. Joined this week, as always, with Greg Jackson. Greg, what's going on?
How's it going? Yeah, things are going well. You, I don't know. Do you remember a tool called Power Toys for Windows?
I do. That's going back a little ways.
Yeah, so I, I, I had to think of a solution for a bunch of folks. I used to use a tool for employees called Wiggle Mouse that would kind of keep the Windows alive and not go to sleep.
Hmm.
Power Toys actually added something last year called Awake. I thought that was pretty interesting. So they continue to add things to it, and so you basically install Power Toys, and then you enable Wake, and then it keeps your monitors on, or it keeps your computer from going to sleep. I thought it was pretty cool.
Absolutely. You know that because a lot of times, even when you have your power settings on performance and never go to sleep, never turn off my monitors, still goes to sleep. It still turns off. I don't know why that happens because you say never, but it still happens. So it's PowerToys now that's downloaded on a third party site or a Microsoft like tech site, right? That's not an official package.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So you can get it from you can get it through learn.microsoft.com.
Hmm.
So it's kind of an add-on. Yeah, you can
Okay,
download it from there.
well, that's great. That's awesome. Yeah, those little tech tools, when you find the one thing you need and it works, phenomenal. That's
Yeah.
great. Okay, well, we'll get started here with our Tech Weekly. As always, all these links are going to be right down there in the video description. Let's go ahead and get started. This first one here is a new feature coming to Android that is only for Pixel phones, but real time. And they say, it's happening there on the phone. It's going to tell you if it's a scam or they think there's something else going on. So literally, you're talking to somebody on the phone. This is going to pop up and say, "Hey, this sounds like you are being scammed." I think that's a great feature because it's not something you've got to wait for. You're not depending on the carrier to identify the caller ID. And it's going to be on these Pixel phones, the Gemini Nano. It's on-device AI on the Pixel 9 series. But I mean, just amazing how much power we have in these little handheld devices.
Yeah, I've used it for talking to people in a different language. It's very interesting.
The real-time translation.
Yeah, while you're on
Okay.
a phone call, it's pretty neat.
Absolutely. So, if you're doing that, I imagine there's going to be some kind of cloud integration where when it's going to learn and maybe this one phone number is a bad number and you're going to share that with other folks. But the fact that they're able to do this on the phone, real time, not after the fact or anything like that, is just really amazing. I'm not sure if it's more of good programming or, you know, better equipment or probably both.
Yeah, I don't
And
know either. That's great.
the fact that it's on their hardware, Apple's always said, you can't make good software if you don't control the hardware. And that's what Google's able to do with their Pixel. I would have thought a while ago they would have ditched the Pixel and focused on other stuff. But I'm glad they are moving forward and setting the stage and doing these kind of things.
Good for grandma.
Absolutely. Cloud migration. I've always looked at it like an old school grandfather clock. You have the big pendulum at the bottom. It goes, okay, move everything to the cloud, bring everything back on site, move everything to the cloud, bring everything back, going back and forth and back and forth. And, while cloud, um, is still going up the migration. It's really slowing down. This one chart here from India Dispatch Research. So it's still growing. This is cloud growth, but compared to 2020, this was from 45, 50%, down here to 10 or 30. We really don't see people having that. I think there's two parts to that. One is most everybody in mid-size, mid-tier, maybe 10 users to multiple hundreds, have got their mail in the cloud already. I mean, having your own Exchange server, having your own email server is so hard now. So most people have made that migration. And two, it's just expensive. People are figuring out, God, that monthly bill that comes every month,
Yeah.
that is not cheap.
Yep. Adds up a lot. I think Microsoft just increased their prices for the Office 365 suite too.
Again, and it's going to happen again. I can predict
Yep.
that. It's going to happen again. And the other part of that when I talk to some of our IT folks is they're thinking, I'm really giving away my job when we move this stuff up to the cloud. So there's some of that. Let's keep it on site because if
Yeah.
everything's in the cloud, they won't need, all five of us. They might only need two of us because we're not having to maintain servers and backups and that. So the cloud migration is certainly slowing down. Okay, here is something. I don't know if you ever had one of these, but I mean, these were uber geek. I mean, if you could do, all kind of fun stuff on these, and have that there on your wrist, the calculator. Did you ever have one of these? You might be too young.
Oh, you're nice. No, I had one, but some of the football players would always try to make fun, and their fingers didn't fit very well. So
So you're saying you have small hands?
yeah, well, I have piano hands. They are small. Yeah.
There we go. Okay, piano hands. There you go. So
Yeah.
anyway, so they're bringing this back, and what's old is new again, and I'm absolutely going to buy one, and have it,
They're
and
cheap too.
yeah, no, I mean,
Like
well, you figure for
like
what it
38
could
bucks, I
do.
think,
Well, in
all the way at the bottom.
1972, it was $60, all the way at the bottom here. Yeah, $35 right there.
Yeah.
And they have all different colors and it's not you can't do it now, but they say
Yeah.
ready for the holidays. And anyway, you roll into a meeting with one of those, you're going to be getting all kinds of attention and I'm sure you remember all the words you used to be able to spell on a pager. When you would put that there, hold it upside down. What does it say? Hello, and all those kind of things. So, this retro tech is such a popular thing that it's a matter. Don't throw anything away. Don't throw anything. But I still have my Atari 2600. My boys and I have like at least 85 games. We lined them all up there. We're breaking out the VCR so we can connect the Atari to through that to the
Is
HDMI.
that the one
And
where you blow in the cartridge to get it to work?
I think that was more Nintendo, but yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
But all of them, anytime they had that edge connector, get all that over there.
Yeah.
Okay, so NASA, we all know NASA and Boeing are having all this trouble with the moon rocket. And meanwhile, SpaceX is going crazy. That man is amazing. Even like Bezos with what's his Blue Origin or something. You don't hear anything about them. The only one you hear about is SpaceX. They launch pretty much multiple times a week. But here, I mean, everybody, when you ever read about the moon rocket, it just takes so long and over budget. And these people are saying there's a 50-50 chance it's going to be canceled. And you wonder how
Wow.
did I think it was 1961 when Kennedy says, we're going to go to the moon and send a man to the moon and bring him back a lot, safely.
Yeah.
And they did it in 1969. And that was just, I mean, my goodness. And now here we are, what, 50 years later? We can't even build a rocket to go to the moon, let alone transport a human. Yeah, so all those people, all those moon people deniers, what's the problem? Did we get dumber? Are we more worried about safety than we were before? Is it just government incompetence? Um, I mean,
You'll find out what's on the other side of the moon if you go. That's the problem.
Exactly. Yeah, and they'll be able to check to see if all those little lunar rovers are there. But the fact that, that we can't get back there and by 2030. So we've been doing it for like 20 years and what we did in 8 years from what we had back there. I mean, the computers were solid state computers. I mean, now we have all the fuel cells and everything. So I think it's just crazy that we're not able to do that. So this Google Shield is when you sign up for something, any kind of an app, any kind of a website, what do they want? They want your name and they want your email address. Well, with Gmail, you can put the plus. So if you have Greg Jackson Jr. At Gmail, you can do Greg Jackson Jr. plus Dave and Buster's at gmail.com. So when that email comes to you, it's still going to come to you. It ignores the plus and everything after, but you can sort it
Mm.
out and know, oh my goodness, now I'm getting car insurance quotes on my Dave and Buster's email
I
address.
knew who sold it.
You
Yeah.
know who sold it, or they got hacked or whatever, right? But that's where it came from. They might have sold it or worse. But here, Google is going to be doing that. We call it shield email. And the problem with the plus is a lot of mail servers now are getting smart and they just whack off. If it's a Gmail, they just okay, get rid of the plus and everything after it. Just send it right to the account. So this is a feature they think is going to be around because they found, in the Android code, all these different things about the shield email and APK, which is for Android development there. And I can see that it's going to do the same kind of a thing, but it won't have the plus anymore. So it's just going to be for
Mm.
this, 1 hour, we'll go ahead and give you this email because it's just horrible. The amount of spam and it's getting so good and what they're able to do with those. So I think this kind of service is I wish I had this for my business email because you go to a lot of sites and you don't want to give them your work email. So I mean I have aliases that I transfer out every 3 months, that I use for that. Okay.
So
So
I that one reminds me. I wish they'd have it so it'd time it, so that the email would be only good for like a week or something. That'd be
and,
nice.
and you can bring it back if you
Yeah,
wanted
yeah,
to.
yeah. Like my credit card numbers. Yep,
Absolutely.
same thing.
What are the numbers again?
Yeah, yeah. I'll send it to
One, two, three, four, five. Anyway. Okay, so automotive grade Linux. I think this is great. So this is to me, this is like Android, where before we had it was like Windows Mobile and was it Symbian? That was the one that ran on Palm or something. I don't, that's going back too far. Um,
Wow.
but if we can have Linux to run your car open source. I think that's just like Android pushed everything forward. I think farther it's ahead of even iPhone. I think this is going to do the same thing for right now there's Apple, there's CarPlay and Android Auto, right? And those are the two. So Android Auto is kind of open source, but everybody says not as much as it needs to be. But this open source for the car, I mean, I think this is what we need. And then if the community backs it up, how can you go wrong? When you're able to look at all that, people can add it, can do things. I mean, if you want it to control the locks on your car, you want to have an extension for this, you want to do all that, and it needs to work all the time. It can't work some of the time.
I would
Eh,
love to root my car.
Exactly, and it's getting to the point now where oh, you want this, you want to be able to use the auto shifter. That's a key code you have to buy, to put
Yeah.
that in there. So let's get rid of all that stuff. Okay, Blue Sky. So this has been around for a little while, and I know you just today got some more Blue Sky names, which is great because I've got Matt Dardell and that, but it's really I wonder if how this is going to last. Um, Everybody, a lot of people don't like Elon Musk, what he did to X and you always I see this on X all the time. Just let you know I'm leaving X, and here you can find me on Blue Sky. And then
All the people that are leaving after the election too.
a lot of people leaving, and invariably somebody says, just so you know, X is not like an airport. You don't have to announce your departure. You could just leave and have it there. But they're growing about 1 million users a day. Now, in the scheme of things, 15 million is nothing. Here, it says Threads has 275 million. Um, and they're growing over 1 million signups a day. So Blue Sky is really going. So if you haven't got your Blue Sky account, definitely just go ahead and grab it, just so no one else will do that. It's ad free now. I'm sure it's going to become an echo chamber, just like X is. I can't imagine it being any different once all the trolls get in there, and of course you're going to like all of the posts that you like. So you're either going to get posts you absolutely agree with, or posts that are absolutely you disagree with.
Yeah.
There's going to be no middle ground for anybody. It's just a matter of time.
How long did it take for that one? I think Trump had a Truth Social. They've been losing a lot of business. So I cannot imagine why anyone would want to compete with X. It just seems interesting to me.
And the fact that we're comfortable calling it X
Yeah, I don't
is
like that either.
is amazing to me, perhaps for that. But yeah, so Blue Sky. So thank you again for joining us today. Again, all these links are down there in the video description. Again, my name is Matt Darnell. I can be reached at mdarnell@comtel.cloud, cloud like the sky. And that is Mr. Greg Jackson. Have a great day, everybody. A hui ho.